All right, family.
All right, family.
We rounding the base.
Round to the base.
We got a
We got
echo.
to
I
go.
see coming from
See
your
coming from your
microphone.
microphone.
Say that again anytime.
We have an echo. Okay, I think you solved it. Very good.
Oh, okay.
All right, we ready?
All right, we're ready.
Wow, we're testing. Okay,
Okay.
so we remain on the topic. Everything is sound and light. Everything is sound and light, and we rounding the bases here. We rounding second, coming in third, and heading home. And then Nasik is up to bat next. So, it just gets like my partner says, it just gets gooder and gooder. So we're gonna continue on in that vein. We are focusing and continuing to focus on the book of Genesis, primarily the first 7 verses of the first chapter, and specifically as we bring this thing to a close within the next 2 classes, this one included, we are looking at this phrase, Hebraic phrase, tohu vabohu. We really want to concentrate on the common word, the word that is common to this phrase, that word who, which indicates sound. All right? It indicates sound. And in the scriptures, it is also symbolized in the New Testament as the Word. All right? The Word. All of this is designed to connect us with the overarching sound element that exists in all things. Vibration. All right? Vibration. That's the word that we want to focus on. Sound as vibration. Because once we understand this, we will have mastered the universe. We master this knowledge, we will have
Come on,
mastered the universe. We will have mastered our lives. We will have
come on.
mastered ascension. And we will have an understanding that encompasses everything because this was the intent.
Go
So
on with it.
this word who is very important, and we're going to follow it. We're going to follow it from its roots. It's a very ancient word and a very ancient concept. All right. And as we read, and they're going to say that this is a name. All right. We've done this before. That this is a name of the divinity, a name of God. All right. But this is just code. It's not a name. God, there is no God like that outside of, or divinity like that outside of you or me. So what is hidden in the word name, because English is a backwards language, you take the N and put it in the back, the N in the front of name and put it in the back, you have Amen. And Amen means hidden, that there's something hidden or concealed in this word. And I see and I are finding out that it is a unbelievably vast amount of
Yeah.
information. Unbelievably vast amount of revealing and enlightening information once you begin at this starting point. And indeed, they say that this is the first sound or first word that was uttered in the creation process. The first word. In the beginning was the word. Sound, vibration. All right.
Right.
We know that tohu vabohu is an indication that consciousness was in what state? Consciousness was in what state, family?
Rest.
Rest, absolutely. Consciousness was at rest. And for our own creative purpose, we moved into action. We jumped into action, all right? We went from rest, tohu vabohu, no universe, no physical manifestation, no movement, just stillness, divine stillness, and calmness. We would attribute, from a human standpoint, this to a state of meditative calm. All right, when we meditate, when we what? Become still. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So consciousness sprang into motion, and it did it by way of what? Sound, vibration. It began to what the scriptures, how the scriptures state, spirit or consciousness did what? Moved
On the water.
in a specific way, right? It moved, it vibrated in a specific way. It says, moved upon the waters. And when we think of waters, we must think of the four creative elements, which is actually five, but we'll just deal at this point, Nasi, with the four. All right?
Right.
We're going to deal
Right.
with the four. Dealing with the four will always get us to five, but it moved upon the waters. It could have moved according to or in conjunction with three other elements:
Right.
fire. What's the other one?
Wind.
Yeah. Air. Yeah.
And earth.
How come?
But it moved in a very specific and a very sagacious manner. It moved upon the waters because we wanted to accomplish something that was very specific. We wanted a specific process.
Right.
All right. So we chose to bypass the initial formative uh, element or aspect, which would have been fire. We chose to skip that and move upon the waters. Consciousness chose to skip that at that point. And it created a very specific process. And we have modern science rather has termed it sonoluminescence. We've gone over this. This is our review, all right?
Mm.
This is very key that we have a thorough understanding and conception of this, because this is going to give us, Nasi, the big picture as well as all of the details
Anytime.
of how spirit, which is sound or vibration, became flesh, how divinity, or the scripture says the word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Word became flesh, how divinity became what? Humanity.
That's right.
Now, I don't want us to get hung up, and we do it sometimes, on the use of the term man. All right? Like it's some great conspiracy that, someone outside of ourselves is doing to exclude the divine feminine. We did that. We decided. The divine feminine aspect decided to exclude itself so that this process that is defined in modern science as sonoluminescence would be complete. The feminine aspect had to be sublimated, had to be removed. Now, see?
That's fair. That's fair.
So let us not take the thought that something happened outside of conscious awareness. Divinity was aware of all things, even before they manifested. I'm going to
On
pause.
bended knees.
I'm going to pause there, right here.
That's what the world calls God, who knows everything.
That's absolutely correct.
That's right. Okay.
Every aspect of our moving into moving rather from divinity into the flesh, into physicality, into materialism. Every aspect was known prior to, it was prescient knowledge, prior to anything moving or vibrating or occurring. It was all contained, everything in divine consciousness. Everything, the good, the bad, the evil, the cruel, the harsh, the cold, the hot, all things, every aspect was known. Even this sublimation of the divine feminine. This whole process was instigated by the divine feminine aspect of divinity. It is represented by a downward pointing chevron or triangle. Are you all with me? Which indicates divinity descending. So everything was known. These are ancient symbols. This is ancient knowledge. And it is allegorized in the story of Sophia, the Pistis Sophia, and her plunge what? Into the waters below, into the creative water. Is everyone with me?
Yes.
All of this is, family, all of it is recorded in perfect harmony. And Sophia means what? Wisdom. Letting you know that we knew. Did nothing get by us. We knew everything that was going to occur in the process. But when you emanate in, you forget.
Right.
Is that not correct?
Yeah.
So what was forgotten specifically? The feminine element. That was no mistake. Let me ask you a question. Male, the word male, Nasi, is what in Hebrew?
Zakar,
Zakar. What does zakar mean?
to remember.
Aha, you forgot. So you're going to need them. You forgot what? In the descent. So you're going to need the male aspect to what? Remember.
Remember.
And remember means to put all of the separated dualistic pieces, what? Back
Together.
together to remember them.
All right.
Does that make sense to anyone?
Perfect sense.
Makes
So,
sense.
so when we see the word he referred to divinity, him, his, don't get all bent out of shape. That's the ancestors telling you that you're going to need this element. The feminine had to be obscured, had to be subjugated.
Yeah.
And in fact, it subjugated and sublimated itself.
Yeah.
So when we see these terms, he, him, his, it's all prescient. It's all with wisdom, with divine forethought. Listen, divinity knew that in the separation and in the inversion, that everything would turn in the descent, Nasi, patriarchal.
Right. Absolutely. Had to.
That society would become a patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And every aspect or element of this patriarchy is going to force you to remember.
Absolutely.
Has the patriarchy been harsh?
Harsh.
Has it been rough?
Yeah.
Has it
Yeah.
made it hell on earth?
Absolutely.
Well, good, because it forces us, it's forced each of us to do what? Remember what we've forgotten.
Oh, that's so powerful. That's so profound. You know, everybody done put that. That's the devil now.
That's the
You know,
devil.
that's the devil.
So again, this is the who story. So in Hebrew, watch this now. In Hebrew, I'm telling you, our ancestors were brilliant.
Yes, yes.
The word for he, who, and him, Nasi, is H 1931. Now I hope everyone has taken notes. I gotta erase them now so that you can see this. Is everybody good?
Yeah.
Everybody
Okay.
got their notes? Okay, I'm gonna erase them so we can see this. See the word him in Genesis 4 and 26. And to Seth, that's a male, right?
Right.
To him also was born a son. We're going to talk about this son aspect of who, all right? So you look at the word him, look what we have here. H 1931 in the Strongs. Come on, load up. I know I got a lot on there. It's the word who, family.
Yeah.
It's the word who. Our ancestors are telling us we knew all of this. We got you. We're not going to let you lose the connection. But look, although it's translated he, right? But it also says he, she, and it. Everything
Absolutely.
is connected.
Right.
Himself, herself, that, this, it. All right? So I want everybody to look at this portion. Now, this is a little 2 or 3 letter word, depending on how you um, form it in the Hebrew. And look at all the explanation. Look at there. Look at all the information on here. That is the Amen aspect of this so-called name. It's a lot hidden in there.
Yeah.
A lot hidden in there. Tremendous amount of information. And we will be weeks teaching on this, making these connections, Nasi,
Oh, absolutely.
of the things concealed. So this word who is simply an aspect of creative impetus. It's an aspect of creative impetus that was chosen to instigate this process called sonoluminescence. It's simply an aspect, the one that was chosen in this beginning. There were many beginnings, family, but in this beginning that we are experiencing now, who was chosen, sound, right, was chosen as an aspect of creative impetus, an aspect of creative impetus. We wanted to accomplish, divinity wanted to accomplish something in an environment or a realm called Earth.
Yep.
Do y'all know how many stars, how many planets, how many galaxies, how many environments, how many possibilities of the manifestation of life that there is?
Right.
See, we think that this is the end all and be all. This is just one of countless beginnings.
Yes, yes.
It's just an aspect of creative impetus, and we're going to look at what that word means, of creative impetus or power. Just one aspect. And it had to do with the water element. The water element. Water is the environment, is the element, liquid, that sonoluminescent, sound interacting with water creates what? Light. Light expresses itself in 2 ways. Come on, scholars.
Come on,
Well-
scholar.
Motion picture underwater.
Right. But it manifests itself in 2 ways.
Waves and particles.
A wave and particle. Y'all are getting this. This is the process that's going to bring divinity into physical form. That which has no form, tohu vabohu, into form, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about toe and bow next. The wave is the invisible or non-material, right? That
Mm-hmm.
does not matter. The particle aspect is the material
Material.
coming into form. What is the term that we gave you that causes matter to take shape? It's another scientific term.
Morphogenesis.
There you go.
Morphogenesis.
Morphogenesis. We should know this. Every one of us should know this. This is how everything takes its form. It's referring to how things take form. And the form is according to mathematics, measurement, degree, frequency, right? Those are all recorded in numbers, right? Expressed in numbers. And what is the other aspect?
Geometry.
There you go. There you go. See, we know this. It takes on geometric form, triangles, squares, rectangles, circles, right? And all the many manifested forms. We're
Get
going
that last one. I didn't hear that last one.
to circles, triangles, all of the geometric forms, etc. And we talked about this before, but we're going to get in deeper in our knowledge of Platonic solids, the 5 Platonic solids. That's why we said we would only deal, now see, with the 4 elements first. But as we get into the descent, we're going to talk about Platonic solids. There's a whole wealth of knowledge in here. And our understanding of these things is going to aid in our ascension, right?
Mm-hmm.
In our ascent. At this point, light and sound are descending in frequency now. And the lowest frequency, not the highest, the lowest is in the human. Male and female. Now see,
Yes.
and we've gone over this. So we understand that divinity entered into physicality, our higher self entered into physicality by way of what science now calls sonoluminescence. We would just call it the creative process, the Genesis creative process, right? Simply,
Right. Mm-hmm.
the Genesis creative process. But we know all of the elements: water, sound, and light. Light expressing itself in two forms as it slows down, because we all know the speed of light, right? Which takes you outside of the physical realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So as it slows down in the descent, it expresses itself as a particle. Then these particles take form by morphogenesis, right? And they turn into, Bakuria, this motion picture underwater. This moving, these moving forms, Nasi, forms in motion. And we define that as life. But life, it is a reflection of life, a reflection of life at rest or dormant, right?
Right.
When you sleep, are you dead? No,
Nope.
you're just at rest. And then the other expression is motion or vibration. And vibration is the impetus for the Genesis creative process, the Genesis creative process. Sound, vibration was the impetus. Let's find out what the word impetus means, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is just going to be a retelling of what it is we've already said. Impetus. And I'll erase this, move it out. Well, maybe I can move this down and keep it. Yes. Impetus. Impetus. Rapid movement. Rapid movement. Look, family, rapid movement. Are you all with me?
Yes.
Rapid movement. The spirit did what? Moved rapidly, vibrated rapidly on the waters. That was the creative impetus, was it not?
Yes.
It moved upon the face of the waters. It also is the word rush, a rushing mighty wind, the breath
Right.
of life, right?
Right.
Wind, ruach, spirit, moving, ruach, rushing, and causing something to vibrate rapidly, right? Have
Right.
you lost anyone?
Mhm.
Ruach, spirit. That was 15th century, 1640, with modern spelling. This is impetus, force with which a body moves. See, here's the motion picture definition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Driving force. So we're saying that the driving power, the power behind creation, was sound. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Rapid motion and impulse. All right? Vigor, force. And then it goes to what we said, that the vibrational frequency, and I'm going to ask, what is the vibrational frequency of creation? We said that that consciousness desired to create. What is the vibrational frequency of
Right.
of creation? L O V E.
Love.
Right. Now watch this, Nasi.
I'm watching.
English is a backwards language, correct?
I see it already.
Evol.
Right.
Evolution. And we
Uh-huh.
know it wasn't an
Whoa.
evolution like that, it was a devolution.
Right.
Mm.
This is how this language is
Oh.
constructed, family.
That's how it's constructed.
That's how it's constructed. So this is why it says that this impetus is ardor, passion. That's love,
Right.
is it not? That is that
Yeah.
desire. It is speaking of the vibrational frequency of creation. Is this not what we've been teaching?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it all fits together. These etymological root systems, these word relationships, they tell a story. They tell a story.
Mm.
The word "im" is actually the word "in," all right? And it means into. in, on, or upon. And then it means to aim, impetus, to aim for, to rush at. Watch this. Just follow me, family. Now, does everyone have the notes?
Yeah.
Aye.
All right. We're going to erase these and we're going to go back to the document.
And incidentally, Eitai, M, which is mem in Hebrew, it looks like an N. Matter of fact,
Right.
that's how it is. N.
Right. So the word impetus, we're going to break it down. All right. And it is in Nasi Tohu Vabohu. It's made up of two words, M, which is actually in, like we saw, meaning in, into, all right, etc. And then the word pedis, which is from the Latin, we saw pedere. And it means what? To aim at, right? Isn't that what we
Mhm.
to aim at?
Right.
So when we look at the word tohu, ve bohu, we concentrated on the word who, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to concentrate on the prefixes. To is actually the word ta or tav. It's the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the scriptures tell us that because of the inversion, the first shall be what?
Last and the last shall
Last.
be first.
What's the first? What's the first word of creation? The first sound? Is it not who?
Mm,
Well, why is it the suffix? The scriptures tell us that the first shall be last, right?
right.
And the last
Shall
shall
be
be
first.
what? First. That is a key to decoding. It's not talking about something that simply something that is going to happen in the final judgment. I know that's how we've been taught.
Right.
It has to do with this language,
Yes, it does.
and that some words are intended to be understood not frontwards, but backwards. And
Yeah.
not just frontwards or backwards, frontwards and backwards.
Right.
Some phrases the same way. Our ancestors were brilliant.
That's brilliant.
Tell them short.
That's
There's a
brilliant.
science to all of this. So Tav is actually the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet, is it not?
That's correct.
But it's first here, right? In the word tohu. There's a reason. the This is talking about how consciousness was at rest, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But in it, it's going to give us the process of how it moved into motion, how it moved into motion. It Ta is represented as the cross, like this, or the X. Now we know that the X marks the spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an identifying mark, right?
Right.
And if I want you to aim at something, and I want you to hit it in a certain point, wouldn't I mark it with an X?
You might with X spot.
See, that's the patere part, petere part of impetus, meaning to aim at. It corresponds to the first part. Tav, X marks the spot. It is a beginning. It is also an ending. Because in eternity, Nasi,
Right.
Melchizedek,
Right.
we have no what? No beginning. No,
No end.
neither mother nor father.
That's correct.
You can only view this, what I'm telling you, as an eternal being. If you are
Yeah.
finite, if you're trying to view it from the standpoint of a temporal, finite being that was born in 1957, 1963, 1940 something, you won't get this.
Forget it. Forget it.
Not recognizing your who story. You're not recognizing your who story. So ain't no way you can decode this.
No way.
Tav is not just,
So you're just hacking at the lead.
that's right. Tav is not just an ending. There was a beginning before it, was it not?
That's right.
That began at Aleph. So Tav means the X. It is where we're going to begin. It is where consciousness set a mark, a beginning. Is everyone with me?
Yes.
What does bo mean, Hebrews?
Come.
Enter in.
Right.
Enter in. Where? Here. X marks
Right.
the spot. Enter in. That is the in part. Into. Come into being. Start to create right here. And how are you going to create? I'm going to begin to vibrate at this point. I'm going to use sound, and this time I'm going to impact upon the water element because I'm trying to see something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see me in my divine aspect. From that standpoint, and I want to see me from my human,
Right.
finite standpoint, then I will know the totality
Of all things.
of me in this reality. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
See, we only know existence from a finite standpoint.
That's correct.
Now, we talked about this aspect of love, right? And when you reverse love, the first shall be last, right? You get evolution. Or you get the first part of evolution. Let me ask you all, you junior scientists, where did they say, under the theory of evolution, where did they say life began ultimately? Did they not say that life began
Big
in the water?
yes.
Y'all seen the chart?
Y'all seen the chart?
They show you water like
They show you water like
somebody's got to close their mic.
somebody's got to close their eyes.
They show you water.
They show you water.
And they show you all these little organisms and shapes in the water. And then they show you a fish, right? We've all seen this. And this is the land. And they show you the fish coming out of the water and going into the land. And they might show you an amphibian like a frog, right? And then the frog turns into a monkey and the monkey turns into the man. Isn't that how they show you evolution? That it began in the water. Have we not seen that?
Okay.
But we know that their theory is not true to every detail of the aspect, but we do know that everything started with the aspect of water, do we not? The spirit did what? Moved where? On fire? No. On air? No.
Water.
On the earth? It moved on the waters. But this is just one aspect of life in what's called the earth realm. Do you all know that there are stories of beings that live in the sun? There are ancient stories of beings that live in a fire that had their beginning in a fire element.
Yes, yes, yes.
Do we know of creatures that exist in the air that can fly? Absolutely. That's relating to the air, even in the earth realm. Are there beings that can live on the earth and in the earth?
Yeah.
Come on now. We only look at things from one aspect and it's limited. It's limited. How in the world did the three Hebrew boys in the allegory, when they were thrown in the fiery furnace, and they lived? We have that ability within us, all four elements. Now, see, we're not just limited to flesh. We have to know the totality of me, the totality of self. Does that make sense? I'm going to pause here because we're getting awful quiet. We'll begin again. So, looking further at this word who, and again, Nasik is going to really take us somewhere. Once he begins and steps to the plate in a few days or so. So this who or hua, again, they say is a name for God in Sufism. All right. It is much more than a name, family. And we talked about that. It hides, in the Amen aspect, meaning hidden. It hides an unbelievable amount of information and enlightenment, an unimaginable amount
Yeah.
of information. This is our starting point. And you recall, recently I told you that the ancestors communicated with me and said, go back to this portion who, go back and start there. And then they began revealing all of this enlightening information, this paradigm shifting.
Yes, it is.
So, Hu or Hua is the name for God in Sufism. Literally, Hebrew, Arabic, literally Hebrew and Arabic for the English third person, and is used in Sufism to avoid attribution of grammatical gender to Allah.
Mm.
So they knew, Nasik, our ancestors knew.
Yeah.
So they actually didn't want us to assign gender to this at all, but
Mm-hmm.
knew that gender in the separation would what? Be a factor.
Right. Yeah.
But they did not want us to focus on gender so much as to the sound aspect of creation, which is the
Right.
impetus of the process of life.
Mm-hmm.
So once we have a proper understanding, and there's not very many people, family, I'm looking that's teaching this in this manner. This term, sonoluminescence, sound turning into light, is really illustrates in perfect detail and in perfect sequence our story or history. All right? Our divine history, our divine origins, divinity descending into humanity, into flesh, into another form. We all know, or we all should know, that this word Allah is not Hebraic in origin, neither is it Arabic in origin. We find it in both languages, but it has Chaldean, that is Babylonian, and Sumerian roots. How many people knew that?
I did.
And it's in this word El, all right, that we mistakenly uh, translate as God.
Yeah.
We mistakenly translate this as God. But again, that mistake was purposeful.
Eitai,
Yes.
just to show you how profound what you laying out and how the ancestors have taken this language and developed this story for us. Now, up here recently, in the last 2 months, 3 months, all kind of people are changing their name. If they got the name L in it, they're changing their name to Yah. Some kind of Yahweh.
Yeah.
Because of the concept of God, and they misunderstand of Yahweh.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's dualism for you.
Yeah.
So this word El, again, even in the ancient understandings, what it's intended to uh, get us to feel is above, ascent. All right,
Yeah.
high, and it's translated into English into words like elevate, right?
Right.
And again, this is the masculine aspect that we knew, that our ancestors knew would have to descend with us, that would have to manifest itself somewhere in the descent. And they accomplished that brilliantly by the sublimation of the feminine and the elevation, y'all get it,
Yeah.
of the masculine. This would cause us to remember, zakar, remember. So now see, we would not have to depend on this mind that was
Right.
developed when? During the descent.
During the descent. It's correct.
Here's more evidence. In Sufism, who or hua is the pronoun used with Allah or God. No mistake. And is used as a name of God, Allahu. God, just He. All right?
Mm.
This was done. This was done with prescience, with knowledge, with wisdom. Because remember, He, right, is in Hebrew is who? It just keeps taking us back to our divine origin, which is sound, vibration, which characterizes everything, vibration, sound, and color. Isn't that life? Isn't that how
Yes.
life is expressed?
Mm-hmm.
Simulated matrix, sound, vibration, color, shape, right?
Yes.
That's the motion picture reality. All of that in motion, the motion picture reality of what we call life, is it not?
Yep.
In Arabic, Allah means God, and with who as an intensive added to Allah means God Himself. It just as well could have been herself, could it not?
Yes, yes.
But we had to remember, not keep penetrating what? Downward. We had to remember and then what? Ascend, elevate, rise back to where we were and are. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Is it telling the story, family?
Yes. Telling this story.
Who is also found in the Islamic credo, La ilaha illa Allahu. There is no God but Allah. Or the Sufi interpretation, there is no reality except who, and who turns into light color, shape, right? Movement. Are we clear?
We clear.
We crystal clear, family.
Yes, yes, yes.
What it says down there in the meaning, it says there is no God but He. They forgot the she and it.
No, no, no. We're not focusing on that. It don't matter if it's she or it. We are focusing on one thing, brother, and that is who, and its meaning as sound, as vibration, as light, as it is all things. It is not just. It is not just confined to gender. We don't even want to get into that now. See,
That was the whole thing. That gender is the problem right now.
it's the problem right now. Our ancestors knew.
That was my point. My point was that it is all things, not gender.
Okay. Final point, and we're gonna get ready to wrap this up for today, because I think we've taken this to another level. Hopefully,
Oh, we have, no question.
We have.
Who in ancient Egypt was the deification. When it says deification, it just means elevation. Elevation, lifting it up so that you can observe it. And we are in the process of thoroughly observing this. Is the deification or the elevation of the first word, the word of creation. And we know that was a sound, a vibrational frequency. The Atum was said to have exclaimed upon ejaculation. It's just talking about a creative process or a creative action, which is motion, right?
All right.
When flesh, all animated life, or most animated life, male and female, right? When it creates, don't you have to get into motion?
Have to get it. Yeah.
And they call that what? Motion in the ocean.
Yeah.
In the waters. It's duplicated below, family. It's duplicated below.
Motion picture underwater.
That's it. That's it. So it says that this created Nasik, the Aeneid, which are 9 creative elements or 9 creative aspects. And this 9 is going to be very important when we get into the Platonic solids. We're not going to get into that today. That 9 is very important.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go back as we close and wrap this up in the book Atomic Suicide. So we look at the 2 figures. We look at the 2 figures here. And this first figure, figure 6, again, we're not using the word mind. We're going to use the word consciousness. I know we're being repetitive, but this is, Vishinantan family. We must have we must master this process. This is consciousness at rest. Which he refers to, or they refer to as the eternal, omnipresent vacuum zero, which is represented by the cipher or the circle. All right. And they say the real universe of knowing mind or knowing consciousness, again, consciousness at rest, before anything was, tohu vabohu, before it took form, before it was defined. It was only defined in consciousness, not manifested physically. The expansion end of the universe, what they call the universal pistons. And we know that pistons are something that go into motion, right? Up and down.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that symbology, Nasi, because this was written in 1957 by these two individuals, and they were still somewhat under the influence of Newtonian physics, right?
Mm-hmm.
That viewed the world
As a machine.
as a machine, a bunch of mechanical functions. So that's
Right.
why they use the word pistons to make the people of that time, to allow the people of that time that were taught up until that point, taught even before that point, to view the world as a machine and in terms of mechanical processes,
Right.
but we get it. We get what they're doing. So that's why they use the word piston. It's just talking about motion, something that is in motion, correct? We
Right.
we view it more in a more fluid manner, all right?
Yeah.
In terms of sound waves, right? That's not mechanical.
Yeah.
In terms of sound waves, in terms of light waves, are you all with me?
Yeah.
So it's more of a fluid understanding and less mechanical. So we get what they're talking about. It's just talking about the motion aspect, universal motion. All right, universal motion. Before it took, the idea of motion, before motion or vibration was what actually realized or enacted. Figure 6 symbolizes the uncreated, unformed, enfolded, unexpressed universe. Sharona, in seed form or in a seed state. Let's not use the word form again. I keep in its
See?
seed state. Everything enfolded, every aspect enfolded within before it's put into motion, before it's expressed. the zero vacuum universe at rest, represented by the cipher or the circle, from which the objective electrical universe of motion emerges. In order to have motion, family, look, you must establish mentally 2 points. Am I right? X marks the spot. That is the toe or the tav in tohu. So now see,
Uh-huh.
in order to cause something in motion, you must contemplate duality, moving
Uh-huh.
moving from one theoretic point to another.
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So from which the objective electrical universe, and electricity always has poles, positive
Right.
and negative, right?
Right.
Yin and yang. You got to move, even in theory,
Yeah.
from one point to another.
Right.
Even before you do it, you have to what? Imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
To manifest eternal life by simulating it in cycles of motion. So it can look like this, all right, if we just want to do a straight geometric aspect, or it could look like this. Just twist the circle, right?
Right.
And you
Mm.
you create an infinity loop
Yeah.
that is constant, eternal, that is
Mm.
contained, now see, in the finite world that you're about to create.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what they refer to as God's omnipresent universe of idea. It must exist in idea first,
First. Right.
and then desire, which is contained in impetus, right? And the frequency is what we call love, the desire of the heart, correct?
Yeah. Right.
But there was no physical heart there like that,
Mm-mm.
like we think about it. It was just a vibrational frequency
Mm-hmm.
that corresponds to the heart organ of the human or the flesh man
Right. Right.
for the expression of the idea by moving forms which symbolize idea.
Right.
This is a simulated reality.
No question.
We've been teaching on that for some time. It is a simulation. It is a simulation. It is not the real thing.
It's a copy.
Say again, Nancy.
I said it's a copy.
It's a copy, right?
Mhm.
And then we're gonna see at the very end, like when we reach the final descent, it even becomes a copy of a copy.
Copy. Right.
This is the universe of the imaginer. That is just consciousness at rest that imagined all this, and then
Yeah.
what? Built forms in the image of his imaging.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. For giving and re-giving in cyclic intervals, which unknowing man calls life and death. If you are divine, that is just an illusion. If you know your true origins, life and death and all other realities are not separate things. They are whole concepts. The first shall be last. The last shall be first. That is what? The snake with its tail in its mouth, converging at one point where the first, which is the head, now becomes what? The last. And the last becomes first in perfect unison.
Yes, it is.
Unity and wholeness. So when we start tomorrow, Nasik,
Yeah, let's start at 6 my time.
so it'll
That'll
be
be
11.
11 your time, huh?
Yes. So when we began, family, and let me erase this. When we began, we're going to talk in terms of this unifying energy. This unifying energy. And then I'm gonna wrap up with that and then turn it over to Nasik, which as usual, he's gonna carry this thing to another level. All right.
All right.
So at this point, I'm gonna stop and ask, are there any questions or comments?